Hey everybody, what is going on? My name is, as you know, Rundown, or Alex, or Ramdown Ducks, or I don't know, man. People call me sorts of wonderful, creative names, and this is a video that I wanted to probably post for a while, but I was waiting on it to actually happen. If that makes any sense, and you'll probably understand why more when I get a little bit more into the content of the video itself. So here we're fighting against that orc from I think last video where I chopped his head off. They stitched his head back on. He is rip roaring, ready to go, ready to one shot the crap out of me. And I was just minding my own business, wandering the countryside when this guy showed up. But what I mean by this is a video I've wanted to do for a long time. I honestly, this is a video that I wish I was able to do back when I first quit, and the reason I didn't is for the longest time, like the thing that's really, I guess let me start over. Like, so this past weekend, I was supposed to go to my mom's house like I do every single Sunday, and I completely skipped it. I wasn't feeling well. I felt, I don't like to use the word depressed lightly. So if you ever hear me use the word depressed, I'm not using it lightly. I mean it in every definition of the seriousness that is depression, and that's exactly the way I was feeling. And that's kind of the way I've been feeling the last several months, with as far as not getting joy from doing anything, not feeling happy, feeling like you want to just press the GG button, no re, and move on to the next life kind of deal, and just like you're not eating and doing all sorts of bad things for yourself. Like the whole thing with me not eating was more or less a me just trying to have some kind of control over my life, because I felt like I didn't have any control over my life, and that was one way to try to get it. I mean, to the point where like I wasn't eating, like I was just going days without actually eating any food, and it's not good for you. Don't do that. But as far as what actually sparked this type of mentality with me, and I like to share these types of stories because these are the types of things that like other people, well, it's hopefully to help someone else, who may be having a rough time as well. And for me, I was just incredibly unmotivated. I would wake up in the morning and I just felt like there wasn't a point to do anything, where like nothing you do seems to matter. And that's the way I felt, which was it. Like I would wake up and I'd be like, okay, well, nothing really matters what I do. I'm just a failure to literally everybody. And that was the way I felt, I think like my real dad was reaching out to me, and like when I was 13 years old, I'm 29 now, and I thought like when I was 13 years old and I was 29, I would have I'd probably have a wife, I'd have my own house, have a job where I made 100K a year or something, and I thought I would be doing something with my life, and I would just, well, not really like doing something, but just like in a point in my life where I was much more happy than I was now, where I felt like I had something to sort of speak on, like, yeah, that's who I am, you know what I mean? But I, so here I am at 29, and as far as like my real dad reaching out to me, it's kind of like it was something that I wanted to do at some point in my life, but I wanted to do it when I felt like I had my life 100% together, when I was only ever adding to it. And I kind of see now that you never really have your life together. You're always adding to your life. You're never at a point where you're like, yeah, I'm ready to die, or like, oh yeah, I've got it all together. That's not how it works, guys. But it was one of those things where I felt like a disappointment to absolutely everybody, because I didn't have a job. I don't have, I mean, anybody who was interested in me. I mean, I thought that was like important, but it was just like something that like I don't know how to describe it. It's not something that like I'm terribly interested in. It's just me using it as an example. I didn't have any goals in my life. I didn't have anything that made me happy, and I felt like everything that I did try to do, I just ended up failing at. And my whole life I've been told, "Oh, you're, so special, and you're so smart, and you can do all these kind of things." And I'm like, I don't feel like any of that's true, man. Like here I am. I would think like back where like I've got to be such a disappointment to my mom, who works super duper hard every single day for everything that she has, and um, here I am where like I'm not working at all, you know, or like I feel like I gotta be a disappointment to my sister, who's like, God, I'm related to this guy, and you know he can't even get out of bed. You know, I mean, he's too sad to get out of bed. Or like I would think like I'm a disappointment to my real dad, who I hadn't met like in my entire life as an adult, and then when I finally do, I'm like, yeah, I'm literally nothing. You know, I feel like I had nothing to really speak on, kind of deal, and it's that type of mentality is just incredibly destructive, and I was me just sitting down, you know, one day. By one day, I mean like 2 days ago, and saying to myself like I don't have anything worthwhile. I don't have anything like any skills or just, you know, it's weird because I sit here and I'm like, oh yeah, I knew exactly what I'm gonna say in this YouTube video, and I'm sitting here talking about it. I'm like, I really am struggling for words here just because of how I want to say the right thing. But the event that I really thought of that kind of helped me out and really turned it around for me was I was sitting at home. Obviously, I didn't go anywhere, but I was sitting down and I thought to myself, like back when my old store that I was working at, my old Best Buy, closed down, and we had to all reapply for our jobs at other stores. But the general manager at the store I went to ended up hiring me. He ended up hiring me and my buddy, and the reason he did is because he said I like both of you. But there were several other times throughout me working at that store that general manager essentially like said that he would take a risk for me. You know, he gave me a pay raise when he didn't give anybody else one. He you know, forgave me for things that I probably should, from his perspective, shouldn't have been forgiven for. And you know, he, I guess, took that risk, and me, like, I mean, he's somebody who isn't related to me. You know, he isn't somebody who essentially has to, but yet he said, like, you know, I see in you somebody who's worth investing. And you know, I don't know how to say how much that means to me, that you know, I feel bad because I feel like I forgot that somebody did that. You know, I forgot that to somebody out there I did mean that much to him. You know, I think about that one time when a little kid ended up joining, sent me a party invite, and I joined his lobby, and he was so happy to meet me because he thought I was like some kind of like super great YouTuber, and I'm like, dude, I'm just a normal guy. I promise, you know. You know, I always feel like I'm not anything special, but it's like that's not necessarily true. I mean, I feel like everybody's got something. But yeah, I just think about all these people who weren't my family. You know, I say like when your family tells you like, oh yeah, you know you're doing well or whatever have you, or you hear it from your friends. You know, it doesn't. It's weird to say like, oh yeah, it doesn't mean anything, but it does mean less, because you feel like that's sort of their job, is to like, it's not their job, but it's like, you know, your family can tell you, hey, you suck, and some families do that, and mine certainly would, but they never have, and they've stuck by me. But it's something like when you always hear it from a source, like you always hear, you know, like from your mom, you know, oh, you're breathtaking, it just, or you know, you're attractive or something, I don't know, like it doesn't mean anything. It really means just kind of less. But when you hear it from somebody who, you know, like your old general manager, you know, someone who doesn't have to believe in you, he for all intents and purposes, he could have not given me a job, he could have not given me a raise, he could have not, you know, given me advice on a lot of things, and it's just really him that helped me. Just thinking about all the stuff that he did for me really helped me turn my own. It made me want to actually do something with my life, because I was feeling like such a colossal failure and just in everything that I was doing. Also, can we just stop and admire this wonderful camera work here? It's great. But I was just feeling like such a failure in everything that I was doing, and I mean, the thing is, like, failing, I mean, even if you do feel like a failure, like that's just a part of life. Failing is always an option, and it doesn't mean that that's the end of everything. It just means like, hey, you now you know what doesn't work for you. And I realized like, hey, if I just sit here and do this day in and day out, I will never get anywhere. I have to do something new. I have to do something different. And I'm not going to try. I'm not going not try, but I'm not going to like push people off anymore, and just not talk to people because I'm not getting anywhere with that. I think like, what would I do if I had all this free time? I'm like, well, I would want to go back and try to learn coding when you pick up where I left off. And I'm happy to say that since the last at least 2 days, I've gotten back into coding again as far as like learning HTML, CSS and stuff. And I'm getting pretty far and getting pretty good at it, I think. So that's something to get better at. But like I've looked into RPG Maker as far as like how to make games, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my god, this is just like coding. It's just so it's weird. I thought to myself like, oh, it's so easy. What was I so scared of before? So I'm hoping to get into that and like hopefully come up with something to kind of maybe show you guys on YouTube. But it's I don't know. It's like it's weird to me. It almost feels like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders as far as just because for the longest time, for months, I mean, even longer than that, I've just kind of carried this weight of just, I feel like I'm such a disappointment to everybody. And I see now that even if that's true, which I don't think it is, but even if it is true, like, what does it matter? If nothing matters, then that's nothing. It mattering should be nothing. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know, man. It's such a weird thing to describe. It's almost like I can't put it into words that like I feel like I'm worth investing into as well, Like I agree with my general manager, if that makes any sense. Like I don't think that I'm not worth investing into. And I feel like even though, I haven't seen him in months, I almost want to go back to the store and be like, you've just that little bit helped me through all of this. So I know he'll never see this YouTube video. I know he never will because he didn't watch my content or anything. I don't even post, like, no one watches my content. It's weird when people it's so weird when people say they watch my content. It's so bizarre. Like, I was talking to one of my friends the other day and I was telling her like, yeah man, I played ranked the other day and this guy who's like really BM, and she's like, oh yeah, I know, I watched a YouTube video. And I'm like, you did? Oh well, anyway. And then there's something else in the video. She's like, yeah, I know, I watched a YouTube video. And I'm just like, oh god, that's weird. It's so weird when it's like post content and people watch it. Like I know I'm gonna link this video to my stepdad, or excuse me, to my real dad, and because this is just it's a nicer way than typing all the stuff out. I feel like I could just talk about it normally, to kind of give him a like, hey, this is where I was at, this is what I was doing. So, hi. But hopefully we'll post a little bit more content here. At least I want to. I feel like I will. I'm feeling so much better. And just like my life right now in the video, failure is always an option. But even though you fail, that's not the end. We're not defined by our failures. You just learned another way that didn't work. So, thank you guys for watching. I will most definitely see you in the next video. This video is only got like a minute left, and it's of this guy kicking my butt. So, I will absolutely see you guys in the next video. Like I said, thank you for watching.